Peeps, what's the beef? Cam here. Welcome to the Chef Fit Show. 2 in 1 day. Would you believe it? That's how we roll. On the episode today, guys, we've got Doug Grigg, who's just after finishing his 28-day challenge with us. And the results have been pretty mental. A mystery to himself and a mystery to all of those around. So we're going to figure out how Doug lost 13 kilos and just a bit of background in his story. So Doug, thanks a million for jumping on, man. First off, just give us an insight, dude. What's your background as a chef? How long have you been in the industry, and you know, how did you get into joining Chef Fit?
Well, I've been in the industry for not that long, really, in the grand scheme of things, about 8 years or so. But I've just worked my way up through the ranks, as it were. I got involved in the pastry aspects of things, high intensity in hotels, bits like that. Yeah. Got involved a little bit too much in the pastry, and I started eating most of it. So then I just started piling on the pounds. I just spiraled out, a little bit of almost like depression and things like that. Things getting to you. So like when you look in the mirror and you see yourself and you like see yourself wanting to like change. And that's what kind of happened to me. I was digging into the truffles a little bit too much, and I ended up putting on I don't know how much, probably about 3 stone in the space of a couple of years. So I mean, I think the most of it was 2 stone in a year, and then that's a lot of weight just to put on, and then so it just starts straining you. But it's more of the like, I'm sure everyone can vouch for me. When you look in the mirror and you start seeing things happening, you're not like looking at yourself in the same way. You kind of just want to change, and that's kind of what I came across with Chef Fit. I thought there's a load of lads there that have been in the same place and they've seen some results, and I thought, why not jump in their shoes and become part of it? And now I've just been pushing on and done the 28-day challenge, and it's sort of fallen off like as if it never was there, you know. So it's ideal.
Yeah, big time, mate, big time. And for you, Doug, like obviously when we first spoke about a month and a half ago, and we got you started, like what was the situation for you? Obviously you'd had your couple of weeks over Christmas, things were fairly intense. What was the point where I was like, I've just got to change here, I've got to do something?
I don't think it was like an exact, like, I suppose there might have been, like, last month when you spoke to me, I was just in a different place. Like every time I was looking in the mirror, I was just like, I didn't want to look in the mirror, you know. And I think it was just a point where like trousers were not fitting me properly, like my shirts were a bit tight, and like now there's the same shirt and it's baggy, and it's like, it's just things just weren't fitting me right, like clothes that I once wore and I was like, yeah, I'm looking pretty good, and then they're just not fitting at all. So it just pushed me to I just wanted to change, you know. So then I just got involved, and
here we are, big time. And Doug, since you started, and we're talking like we're literally talking the last 5 weeks since you started, then what have the results been? Like what was the starting point weight wise and how you felt, and then where are we at right now as of finishing everything?
Well, starting off, I had a goal in mind when I started off. I was 17.5 stone when I started off, which for my height is not necessarily too much, but I thought, you know, it's around a bit much for me. When I was, my prime weight is probably 14.5 stone, so I wanted to lose, well, a stone was my goal. And then my starting point was when I started, I was having a lot of sugary drinks, a lot of juices, a lot of things like that. Mainly that was just affecting my body in ways that were not beneficial. So like I was looking at the nutrition plan, just following bits by bits, and I was like, oh, okay, that's where I'm going wrong. I'm not eating enough stuff, which it turned out was quite a big aspect. I weren't eating at the right times. I weren't just doing the basics, you know. 5 kilometers might not seem that much, and it's not necessarily that much, but if you do like a 5 kilometer walk every couple of days, or a 5 kilometer run every couple of days, it all adds up. It really does.
Massively. And And through you doing that, like I suppose the big thing is keeping it super, super simple. And maybe that was something that had been neglected before. When you do keep it simple, it's like, no, you do your 5K, walk or run, you know, a couple of times a week. We get into the gym, we get our lifting done, remove the sugary shite and replace it, you know, with your regular structure of meals. What was the result of that for you? Like, what if you started, I think you started at 111 kilos, which is just over 17 and a half stone, in and around that territory there. Where are we at today?
I'm not too sure in terms of kilos. I use a conversion thing, but I'm 15 and a half stone as it is. I don't know what that is like, but I'm
I
15
can.
and a half stone now.
That is 97 kilos.
There we are. So it's
Mental.
2 digits back 2 digits again. That's ideal, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's all back to basics. That's the thing. Is just getting into a routine, get into the basic aspects of it. I mean, I thought I was doing enough stuff. It turns out I was overthinking everything. I was like, oh, I need less of this, more of that, or whatever. I was just overthinking things. When I wanted a snack, I used to dig into like crisps and stuff instead of like a handful of nuts or or a piece of fruit or something. And now it's so different. Looking at the nutrition plan and following the basics, I didn't really alter anything or do that. I just followed the exact scheme and it worked. So that's what I'm going to be sticking with. Maybe slightly altering it just so I can maintain weight and so I don't dissolve onto the. But yeah, apart from that, I mean, I'm ideal right now, you know.
And Doug, for you, man, you were saying before, and I suppose the reason I ask this is so many chefs would probably come across the same issues. And you were saying before, you know, you're obviously a big dude, but you got to the point where there was a lot of weight to be lost, and the body was just not where it needed to be. Now, you were saying about overthinking things. Like, what were some of the things? Why was this different? Like, what was different about your time in Sheffield versus maybe what you were trying before?
Um, Before I've tried little diets, little things like that, and it always seems to be what other people are doing and stuff. It's never really tailored to you. I mean, I find that there's never really a universal way of having something that works for you. So I
Mm,
found there's say Chef Fit really fit into it because things were kind of tailored. Like I mentioned to you about skipping and my cardio, and then you just like just add that into your cardio time and 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 don't overthink things. Don't put it anywhere else with the weightlifting. Just put it into the cardio time when you do your runs. Just put the 10 minutes or whatever in there.
yeah.
And then with the like with other things in other diets, it all seems to be, oh, you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way. Not necessarily in Chef Fit, you have to do it any specific way, as long as you tick off as you go in, as long as you do your reds, you do your blues,
Yeah.
and
Get your cardio in. And
yeah, get your cardio in and things like that. It just seems the basic stuff's actually so important.
but I think what's really good to think about is like it is a very specific set of circumstances that a chef has. Regardless of whether you're working a 40-hour, 50-hour, 60-hour week, I think the levels of stress are always there. And I think whether, you know, you've gone from working a really long houred, you know, role, 60, 70 hours or dropping back, whatever it is, I think the habits always kind of end up remaining the same. What I think is important and what you said there is that you keep things so simple and you give yourself a framework or a structure that it doesn't matter if you make small alterations. You're still trying to develop good habits and be as consistent as possible. And if we have to, you know, model small things around you, that's just what you need, you know. And I think that's absolutely key. Um, so Doug, we've dropped, you know, gone from 17 and a half stone, gone to about 15 and a half now at this stage. So I think that's 111 to 97 kilos, which is pretty drastic. I assume energy levels are through the roof. All of these things, like what has come with the weight loss for you?
It's been ridiculous, really. Like before, it's when I woke up, it was awful. I was rolling around, you know. I just wanted to keep pressing the snooze button and things like that. And I had my missus waking me up and then just saying, "Come on, we've got to get out of bed. We've got to do this today and that." And then now I find myself, I'm waking up before before the alarm goes off. I'm waking my missus up, you know.
Yeah.
I've got huge amounts of like focus in what I do. Is like up here in my mind, everything's like straightforward. I mean, I'm what people think is like a really stressful time is, say, like opening your own business and that. I've got my own business that I'm working on now, and then before I would never have dreamed that I'd be so clear and clarified in my mind. But now I'm just like, yeah, I've got to do this task, I've got to do that, and I
Wow.
can do it, and I've got boundless amounts of energy.
That's
So
insane.
even, yeah, it's great, really.
Big time, man. Big time. What is tell us about the business and what direction that's going in?
Oh, the business. Well, believe it or not, it's chocolate. So
Nice.
yeah, chalk and cheese. I'm not actually diving into the packet as much as I used to, but yeah, chocolate. I mean, I'm establishing
Learn
it.
the
I'm
lessons.
pushing it out. It's yeah, just a little thing called Curiosity in Cocoa, which is my own little independent brand, all hand tempered chocolates, bonbons, little
Sweet.
things like that. And it's slow progress at the start. It's always going to be, but I've got these like little tick boxes, goals, and things that I'm just doing myself, like marketing and things.
Yeah.
And I would never have had the energy before to like to 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 do as much in a day that I'm doing now. I think it's mad.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's honestly, I think it's the best thing I've ever done. Like best money I've ever spent. It's only been a month as well, so it's like it's
Big
ideal.
time, man. Well, where can we find Curiosity and Chocolate? That's
Curiosity and Cocoa, yeah.
oh,
So
sorry.
it's yeah, Curiosity and Cocoa. I mean, at the moment you can find it on Instagram and Etsy if you want to, yeah,
Get on
anything like
it.
that. But I'd recommend maybe staying off it until your cheat days.
Brilliant. Good stuff.
Going against everything for me, but you know, I mean, yeah,
Listen,
it's definitely a naughty treat.
when the time is right, Doug, when the time is right. Um, so Doug, in closing this thing down and bringing it into the harbor, for any chefs that are out there that were in the position that you were in, where maybe there's a little bit of skepticism there, maybe there's a little bit of, oh, this thing's online, I see it's for chefs, but I'm not too sure. But they know they need to make a change, and they know there's a lot of weight to be lost, and they know that their life needs to change in a positive direction as soon as possible. Like, what is your advice to anyone on the fence in that situation?
Honestly, it was quite a weird thing. Like I stumbled across this on Instagram as well. I mean, I was pretty wary of the usual things on Instagram. I've never bought into anything and stuff like that, but there's something there that just like it reminisced with what I was going through, and I find that honestly, if there's anyone that's on the fence or thinking about it, I reckon they should just go balls deep and go straight in, and go 2 feet first. But like honestly, it is yeah, it is like the best month that I've ever done. You might think, oh, I don't have the money right now, but honestly, you would not regret it. It's something that's changed my life. It's changed loads of other boys' lives and girls. But I think it's definitely something that's just worth doing. Just jump in and honestly, just I reckon just get involved. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that small investment is there again. It's like, what's the benefit of that? And is the change you've made worth that? That's the question that a lot of people have made and I need to ask themselves. And I think in your position, Doug, it definitely is. So listen, for anyone that's watching this, really, really take from what Doug said here. There's some interesting things to be touched on, like understanding that a chef's life is quite unique, and if you try and overcomplicate things, you try and overthink things, and you try and put something in place that isn't sustainable for the rest of your life, chances are it's not going to work. So you have to simplify, and then you have to execute on that simplified plan. And that's what Doug did for the past 4 weeks. The weight has melted off him, and now he's in this process now where it's like, okay, right, we've lost the extra chunk. Let's get to a position now where we can start assessing how we're going to sustain this for the rest of our lives. And again, that all came down to Doug taking a chance, and taking the plunge. So, Doug, thank you for doing this, man. I really, really appreciate it. For
You're
anyone
welcome.
else that is basically looking to make a change, you know where to find me. Give me a shout. We'll get you going. Other than that, stay safe.